You know that feeling, right? You're in a room and someone starts talking and everyone just kind of leans in. They have this quality that pulls you in, makes you listen, makes you believe. It almost feels like magic. But what if I told you it's not magic at all? What if it's just science? Let's get into it.
So that brings us to the big question, the one we're going to tackle today. Is this incredible ability to influence people something you're just born with, or is it a skill that you can actually learn and get better at? Well, the answer might surprise you, and it all comes down to what's happening inside our heads.
For the longest time, the thinking was pretty clear. Even famous sociologists like Max Weber saw charisma as this special mystical thing, a divine gift, he called it. You either had it or you didn't. End of story.
But it turns out that's not the whole story. Modern neuroscience has completely flipped that idea on its head. Today, we know that charisma isn't some mysterious force. It's actually a set of very specific, very learnable behaviors. And these actions work because they trigger real, predictable reactions, like trust, motivation, and connection, inside other people's brains.
So how exactly does this all work? Well, to really understand influence, we gotta pop the hood on the human brain and see which social circuits light up when we're around someone with that certain spark.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the brain's social control center. This is your prefrontal cortex. It's the part of your brain right behind your forehead, and you can basically think of it as the CEO of your entire social life.
In people we see as charismatic, this part of the brain is firing on all cylinders. It's constantly reading the room, figuring out what others are feeling, and then adjusting their own behavior in real time. It's what lets them say just the right thing at just the right moment. And here's where it gets really wild. When you're listening to a super charismatic speaker, their words can be so powerful that they actually quiet down the parts of your prefrontal cortex, the parts that are in charge of critical thinking and skepticism. So your brain literally lowers its defenses, which is why you can feel so completely captivated by them.
Now, have you ever been talking to someone and felt like you had their 100% undivided attention? That feeling, that's called presence. And it turns out it's governed by a little part of the brain called the insula.
See, when a person's insula is really engaged, it creates this powerful sense of being grounded, totally in the moment. And for the person they're talking to, that comes across as this calm, totally authentic vibe. It's why you feel like you're the only person in the room.
So the main takeaway here is this: that feeling of presence isn't some airy, mystical quality. No, it's a real, measurable neurological state. It's all biology, no magic involved.
And the last piece of this brain puzzle, mirror neurons. These little guys are incredible. They fire not just when you do something, but when you watch someone else do it. So when a leader gets up and speaks with incredible passion, your mirror neurons fire up, and suddenly you feel that passion too. That's emotional contagion. It's the science behind how a single person's feelings can spread through an entire crowd. But hey, it's not just about the brain's wiring. Charisma also has a really powerful chemical side. It's like a cocktail of hormones that create those feelings of connection and drive.
First up in that cocktail is oxytocin. You've probably heard of it as the trust hormone. Your brain releases it when someone shows genuine warmth. We're talking simple stuff like a real smile or good eye contact. This little hormone is the literal biological foundation for trust and connection.
And then there's dopamine, the motivation molecule. Now, what's so cool about dopamine is that it's not just released when you get something good. Your brain actually releases it when you expect something good to happen. So when a charismatic leader paints this amazing, exciting picture of the future, they're giving their listeners a dopamine hit, making them feel motivated and ready to go.
Okay, so we get the science, but how do we actually use it? Well, this is the really empowering part. Let's talk about the Charisma Toolkit. These are real, practical skills you can learn, and they're all based on the brain science we just covered.
Look at these, 5 simple but seriously powerful techniques. Using stories, that taps right into emotion. Speaking in contrasts, that makes the choice really clear for the brain. 3-part lists, our brains just love patterns, so that's super satisfying. Setting big goals, hello, dopamine rush. And just varying your vocal tone, that keeps people locked in. Seriously, research shows that just practicing a few of these can make a huge difference in how charismatic people think you are.
Of course, knowing the tools is one thing. Seeing them in action is another. So let's take a look at how all this stuff actually plays out in the real world. And that includes both its incredible power and its potential dangers.
Steve Jobs is the perfect case study here. If you look at him in his early days, he really wasn't known for being a people person. But over the years, he worked on it.
He learned. He became an absolute master of storytelling, using those famous dramatic pauses and vision-driven language to just mesmerize people. It's proof that charisma can be a practiced, developed skill.
You see the same thing with someone like Elon Musk. His charisma is built on a really clear strategy. He's always focused on a massive, bold vision for the future. Colonizing Mars, sustainable energy, you name it. By telling these high-stakes stories and repeating his ambitious goals over and over, he builds that powerful anticipation, the kind that gets the dopamine flowing in his audience.
But, and this is so important, influence is a tool. And just like any powerful tool, it can be used for good or it can be used for harm. The exact same techniques that can inspire movements and unite people, well, they can also be used to manipulate, create blind loyalty, and shut down any criticism. That's why this power has to come with integrity.
So where do you even start? It really all comes down to practice. You've heard the saying, fake it till you make it, right? Well, it turns out there's actual neuroscience behind that. When you repeatedly act in a confident way, your brain literally starts building new pathways. It rewires itself until that confident behavior becomes your natural default. Confidence isn't just something you have, it's a trained habit.
Which brings us right back to the beginning. We've looked at the brain, the chemistry, the practical tools. So what's the final verdict on that big question we asked at the start?
And the science is definitive. Charisma is not some divine gift. It is a trainable social skill, and it is built on the biology of the human brain. Yeah, some people might have a natural head start, but the ability to connect with and inspire other people, that is within reach for anyone who's willing to put in the work.
So the potential to influence isn't somewhere out there. It's right inside you, just waiting to be developed. Your influence really begins with your very next conversation. So the only question left is, what are you going to do with it?